I'm Suzanne Murdoch, MD and co-founder of the Hubnery, and welcome to Series 4 of the Powering Productivity podcast. Each episode, I explore the stories and insights of SME co-working and flexible workspace operators from around the globe, focusing particularly on regional and neighbourhood spaces and the communities that they drive forward. I chat around the inclusivity, genuine connections, clarity and purpose, and positive impacts that they bring. So let's get started. Hello and welcome back to you. And for those who are new to joining the podcast, you're very welcome. So today I'm in the great company of Roland Stanley, founder of Dragon Coworking, previously spent many years working in the hotel industry. Dragon's a really vibrant hub for local entrepreneurs and businesses, and it's located in the historic St George's Hotel, Medway, Kent area, known very much for its community focus and I think for very much putting its members at the heart of everything they do. So, Roland, I'm keen to explore your thoughts on SME neighbourhood workspace operators and how they're very much faring in the workplace right now, I guess, challenges, opportunities, and what sets them apart from the bigger brands and more city-centric locations, and how we can work together more collectively. So, if you would, Roland, for those who haven't met you before or listened to you before, give us a quick rundown of who you are and what you do.
Hi, Suzanne. Yeah, thank you very much. It was a really nice introduction. I wasn't expecting that.
You're
So
very
thank you
welcome.
very much. So as you said, we're Dragon Coworking. We're based in Rochester, and we're actually based inside the St George Hotel, which is straight away, hence the name St George and the Dragons. That's how we got the name Dragon Coworking. Um, we sort of came about by accident, really. I had some spare space in the hotel. So my background is hospitality. I ran the St George Hotel for 24 years.
Wow.
I only intended to go there for a couple of weeks to help my dad out. It's a family business. I was a chef originally, and I was between jobs, and he took over this hotel that was my granddad built originally, but he took it back over, and it was a bit of a bankrupt. Wasn't a great business. So I came to help him out for a couple of weeks while he wound the business down, and ended up sort of making a bit of a go of it. I took it over, and we turned the business around, and ended up staying for 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then part of it as well, we had this. It's an old function room in the hotel, but it had quite an interesting history. It'd been used as an office for a number of years. It'd been used as a line dancing studio. It'd been used as another function room. Then the last tenant, he used to build wiring looms, but wiring looms for like Harrier jump jets and Formula One cars and things like that. He decided to retire, so we was left with this about 3,500 square foot of space that we didn't know what to do with. And of course, the council wanted their business rates on it, and I thought, well, I'm not going to pay business rates on this empty space that we can't do anything with. So we tried to let it out as a traditional office, and nobody was really interested because it was just a grey and white box. Then somebody mentioned to me about co-working and hot desking, which I didn't know much about at the time. So I jumped on a train up into London, went to visit a couple of WeWorks. That's the only sort of one. As soon as you Google co-working, that's it. WeWork came out, visited those guys, a couple of other spaces as well, and thought this is amazing. Why is nobody else doing it in Medway? And then just literally got started really quickly. So that was in about May 2017, and then we had the space all opened by July 2017.
Wow, that's a quick
Um,
turnaround.
yeah, it was quick. It was sort of like, right, let's get it done, let's get it open. I was really excited about it. I thought, right, I can have an office that's got a beer tap in. That was a big incentive. So I thought, right, let's get this going. And we only had 6 offices, and I was quite lucky. I had quite a nice network of people, local businesses I knew already. So I managed to pre-sell all the office space, just by drawing out duct tape on the floor. And selling them the Dragon Co-working dream from duct tape trying squares out on the space. Sort of pre-sold it and then opened up properly in July 2017. Offices we sold straight away. Hot desking was a real challenge at the time because nobody knew what hot desking was.
That was my next question, was how did you
Yeah,
let go of the whole concept then? Because it was a struggle with us at the start.
yeah, hot desking. It was a real struggle. It was pretty much I used to go to networking and everyone's like, well, I've got a desk at home. Why would I pay to come and have a desk with you? And it's quite a good question. And it wasn't one that I'd really thought about because I've been so excited about getting the space opened. I hadn't really put much thought into actually why people would actually want to come and rent a desk and pay for a desk when they've got a like, perfectly good desk at home or up in town or something like that. So yeah, so the first sort of 6 months were a bit of a struggle. Our first co-worker, Molly, um, is still with her. She's actually our marketing manager now.
Mm.
Um, but she sort of came in, and our first Christmas was the sort of the biggest sort of point where I actually worked out what we was actually about, what co-working was all about. And we sort of by then, after about 6 months, we had about 10 hot desk members and probably about another 15 people in the offices. And we had our Christmas party, and we started talking about, we had our Christmas party, we literally just had it in the space, and everybody brought some food and we brought games, and it was like a really nice sort of vibe, and everybody said, well, just part of a big family, and everyone said they really loved the space, they just loved the community, they loved being part of something. And it was then I suddenly sort of clicked. It was like, oh, that's what we're doing. That's what we're selling. You know, that's our that's our product. It's not these desks and nice coffee machines. It's actually people being part of something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, that first 6 months was definitely a big learning curve, and definitely one where I actually learned actually what we're about, and then probably another year to sort of really refine about what we're actually selling or what we're doing.
I love that story. But no, but that really does put the community at the heart. And I think that whole piece around what is co-working and how do we sell it is very personal to each and every operator, I guess, their personal
Absolutely.
story. And
Yeah.
I think everyone's space is slightly niche. They have a different take on it. They offer different things. But yours sounds very much more
Mm.
relationship, family focused.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Yeah, I mean, from my hospitality background, I mean, hotels, there's so many different types of hotels and different budgets and, what people want, if they want sort of casual, they want 5 star. And, hot desking, co-working, service, it's all very much the same. There's lots of different operators out there which cater for different people. Some people want to go to work every day in a suit and have very 5 star service and have lovely barista style coffees served to them, where or other people want to come and like Dragon Coworking. You come in your jeans and you still have lovely coffee, but you can sit around a table, have a good chat and a laugh with people. So yeah, it's just finding out as an operator, actually establishing who are your people and who's going to come and use your space.
Yeah. And did you go into it with certain people in mind, certain sort of personalities?
I mean, it was always like at first, it was like we seem to attract a lot of creative people, creative digitals. I mean, I must admit, when we first opened, we'd take any, anyone that came along, we'd say, "Yeah, we can find a space for you," and that works reasonably well. So it's a really good mix of people. But we did find that digital creative people did seem to gravitate towards us. And then, of course, you've got like the techie guys that make all the back end of websites. They start talking to each other about all JavaScript and WordPress and things. And
Mhm.
that's their own little clique, and they've got their own little thing going. And then you've got the creative guys that like to make websites and things look pretty. So they got their own little thing going. And all of a sudden, we had these little subgroups all sort of establishing as well. And yes, that's really interesting. So we didn't actually aim to actually, in particular, we just sort of naturally gravitated towards that. And it's gone slightly away from that now, but you've got more of a mix of lots of different industries and businesses. But originally, yeah, it's more sort of digital creatives.
And you've Emily Crosby,
Yes,
our podcast editor producer.
yes, that's right. Yes, yes, you're
She's
probably
lovely.
editing this. Yes,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
literally next door but one to me. Yeah, so
Ah, there you go.
she's
Emily, if
recent.
you can hear us, do a good job on this, please.
I can't hear her knocking on the wall. That's a good sign. Yeah, she's recently upgraded her office. She's moved to a bigger office. So yes, she's got a nice little sofa in there for her podcasts now.
Mm. So let's move on. What do you think are the, let's start on a positive note.
Hmm.
What do you think are the opportunities for micro SME neighborhood co-working operators right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of opportunity out there. There is lots of opportunity. I mean, it's tough, um, but there's lots. We've been looking around. There are lots of spare sites. There are councils that are looking to do things, especially sort of more towards the micro sort of size, so
Mhm.
under the 5,000 square foot space. Um, the challenge would be always trying to make that sort of square footage work for an operation. Um, Making sure your product mix is right with that sort of size is sort of crucial. But there are opportunities out there. So there's lots of vacant properties out there that landlords are looking to do things with. Um, yeah, say especially around sort of the council sort of sector as well.
Yeah. Do you think actually we were speaking last week on the call with Bernie Mitchell
Hmm.
around potential partnership opportunities in the more regional areas? Do you think there are quite a few opportunities there, be it with private landlords, councils? How easy is that sort of thing to do?
There are opportunities out there. Just locally, Medway Council, they've just done a partnership with an operator for a space they've built in a shopping centre.
Hmm.
So there are those opportunities out there. We see quite a lot of office buildings. We have talked to landlords. At the moment, we're sort of talking to a couple of people about a second site.
Okay.
We've been talking to quite a few people over the years. We've never actually made it quite happen yet, but there seems to be quite a lot of opportunities out there, especially local authorities at the moment. They seem to be looking what they can do with empty spaces, especially around retail. We've had
Well,
quite a
that's
few,
interesting.
yeah, we've had quite a few conversations around old retail space they're looking to do things with. Um, I mean, retail space is a bit of a challenge, I think, for co-working spaces. Um, but again, it depends what you want to do with your product mix, how you can make that work, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
No, that's really interesting. Um, because we've tried a couple of times with local council, and there's obviously quite a lot of empty space around here, so
mm.
potentially interested in that side of things. And then flipping the coin, I guess, what about challenges? What will your top challenges be, or what feedback have you heard from other operators?
It really sort of depends where you are, I think, in your sort of where you are. If you're starting up as an operator, for us at the moment, we're getting uncertainty. Um, People are coming to us and say they're unsure about taking office space. When we say to them, look, we've just got a 2 month tie-in on our office space, there's no, long term, you don't have to sign a lease or anything. That's always flipped around to end up being a positive. Um, so the uncertainty in the market, for us, is not always negative, because people are looking to come out of long-term leases. They don't want to sign a 5-year lease on an office space. They'd rather actually pay slightly more for a service office like ourselves, where they've only got like a 2 month sort of tie-in. So yeah.
Okay. Yep, I like that. Flip it to the positive. And then I guess, how do you feel co-working differs in terms of the smaller regional spaces compared to those city-centric multi-sited? Are there big standout points for you there, be it within the community, the infrastructure, the business as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, we're very much community focused. So we know everybody. So we're just like say, boutique operator, one site. We very much pride ourselves on we know all our members, and we can get to know them really, really well. Um, Larger operators, yeah, probably, scaling that is always difficult. There are a couple of operators I know which seem to be doing a reasonably good job of that. But yeah, in the regions as well, I think again product mix is different. So up in London, operators, especially smaller operators, can make more hot desks work easier,
Mm,
especially if you've got higher density of living in that area. Where in the regions, trying to make a hot desk only operation work is more of a challenge. Um, I only know sort of one person that's really made it work outside outside the major cities. Um, so yeah, I think there is a real difference between city centres and out in the regions about what you can do, especially around product mix.
yeah, that's a good point actually, because we will get a lot of inquiries for hot desks.
Hmm.
So there's the demand there, but as you said, operationally it can be very hard to manage that. And I think there's more overhead because you obviously need a team on the ground to manage that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I speak to quite a few people that message me on LinkedIn and say they're thinking about starting up a co-working space. What would they recommend? And quite often they haven't really worked out. They want to do desk space, hot desking space, a purely hot desking space. And it's hard. As we talked about earlier, it's really hard to make that work, especially if that's your only real revenue coming
Yeah,
in. As we know, like you've always got a constant nature of the beast is you've got constant churn because people move, people they change jobs, people want to stay at home longer, they'll be called back to the office. So you've always got that churn around hot desks. So it does make it a bit more of a challenge if that's your primary sort of product you're selling.
Yeah. Just on that point, we touched earlier about different revenue streams. What off the top of your head, if you're a smaller operator and you need to counteract the rates, etc., what other revenue streams can you think about?
We've done the virtual office. Virtual office has worked pretty well for us. As we sort of talked about a little earlier, that there is a bit of compliance around that, and it is a bit more of a challenge to make sure you're compliant. You can't just start up a virtual office business. You have to go through anti-money laundering and make sure your staff are trained and all that. But as revenue per square foot, a virtual office is probably the highest earning is
Yeah.
per square foot. So if you're an operator and you just literally had hot desks, that's one of the easiest things to set up and get going, as long as you know your compliance and you've researched into exactly how you keep legal.
But I think once you've got that set up, it's fairly easy to keep on top of. Yes, things
Oh,
tweak each
absolutely.
year, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of help out there. I know the Flexible Space Industry
Mm.
Association, they've got a lot of help with that. Um, and there's always someone to guide you through that. But and there's quite a few spin-offs off of that sort of business as well, mail forwarding, um, phone answering that you can do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, we sort of keep our system really simple. So we're very much, we will forward mail for a little extra, but most people come and collect it from us. A lot of people tend to be quite local, so we keep it super simple. We don't make it too difficult for ourselves, and yeah, it's done really the last 18 months. That service has really taken off.
Yeah, no, I think it's becoming really, really
Mm.
popular now. So how's co-working generally in I guess the Kent area? Is it a growing concept?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we weren't quite the first. I always get in trouble by saying we was the first co-working in Medway. There was one called Co-Forward. There was a small space in Rochester High Street, and when we first started up, I announced that we're the first co-working space in Medway, and they quickly jumped on Twitter and made sure I knew they
Okay,
were.
you've
We
got to
weren't.
give it a try.
I say yes, say yes. But no, we've got new spaces. So in Medway, where we are, there's two new spaces, Ascend and Platform 26, which opened up recently. Um, we're in touch with both the operators. That's what I like about co-working. Everyone seems to be we're all quite collaborative. We're all quite
Yeah.
willing to talk to each other. Um, in the rest of Kent, there's lots of new spaces that opened up in the last sort of couple of years. Island Works out on the Isle of Sheppey, which is a
Oh,
beautiful space. It's in an old dockyard church, so they got a lottery funding for it, and it is the most beautiful. It's fantastic. Island Works, the Isle of Sheppey. So
lovely.
it's lovely space that is. Yeah, and there's various other spaces I've heard of opening up around towns as well. So it's definitely growing. People are more aware of co-working and hot desking, especially. People are looking for it now. So after 8 years, we finally people are trying to actually finally finding us and understand what we're actually doing.
It's interesting, even within within the industry, a lot of people can't actually define or agree on how to define the word co-working.
Mm.
And as opposed to like the community element, for me, the co-working is more the community, and the flex side is more the I guess the infrastructure, the building, and what's inside that.
Yeah, I mean, we've always sort of defined it as, we're community working, co-working. And for me, a co-working space has to have hot desks, because I think the hot desks, even though they might not be the major revenue driver, the hot desks, especially for us, where we've laid out our space to be, hot desks are quite central to all our operation, as in the actual sort of layout of the building. And the co-workers that use the hot desking space are the guys that really help build that community,
Huh.
and they're the really major part of it. So for me, co-working always has to involve hot desking. You can't be just a service office provider and call yourself co-working space, because for me it's not. Hot desking has to be involved because they're the guys that really help build that community. But that's my experience anyway.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So, how do you think, as operators, we can work more collectively together? Personally, I think we're doing a really good job, but
Mm.
there's always room for improvement. And I guess certainly the bigger brands, maybe versus the smaller folks. How do you think that we can work more collectively?
I mean, sort of down in Kent, we've been having a few meetings with the lady called Jo Rossi, who's been organising a few different co-working.
Oh, I know, Joe.
Yes, yeah. So we've been visiting other co-working spaces and trying to get operators together. I've got a group of like operators. We got together through, we all used Nexus originally, and we all met through somebody that's she's a Teresa,
Oh
who's
yeah.
like Teresa. Yeah, so she's co-work. She's an Nexus consultant, and I think I'd reached out to a couple of other operators, and they said there's a Nexus, and I said, oh, you need to speak to Teresa then. And then we've all sort of come together since then, and sort of we all meet up on a sort of like quarterly basis, and just chat about mugs in the sink and no other more other more worthwhile thing about how co-working's going for us, and what we're doing and how we're driving revenues and things like that. So for small operators, I think getting together with other operators is absolutely invaluable, because well, like all business, you tend to have the same issues and same problems,
Yeah.
and just chatting about it. The co-working industry and operators, even like some of the bigger guys, when you've been to like Juicy and things like that, you talk to other operators. They're big guys, but they'll still have a conversation with you and talk to you
Oh
about,
yeah.
you
And
know,
I think those conferences are really, really good for having the spin-off workshops and getting people together with common challenges that they're probably not even aware of. They think they're on their own there,
yes, that's it. Yeah,
but you're
yeah.
really not.
No, that's it. No, no. So yeah, just speaking as operators together, just chatting about the problems, because you know whatever problem somebody's already, and that's especially if somebody's starting up a space, do definitely reach out to people in your area, especially. Don't treat them as competition. Reach out to other operators in your area, because chances are, like we said before, you're all doing something slightly different. And somebody might love your space but hate the one down the road, and vice versa. So you'll attract your own people. You don't have to worry about the competition side of it. Just
Absolutely.
go and talk to other operators.
Yeah. And then I guess a spin-off on that is, what are your thoughts on branding and culture,
Mm.
in terms of the marketing maybe being slightly different from your, not competitors, but the other neighborhood spaces in your area?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, this is something which has really evolved over time for us. So we had our sort of like Dragon Coworking. It was just, and a lot of people assumed it was called Dragon because of Dragon's Den and things like that. And it's only when you explain to them that, oh, it was actually inside the St. George Hotel, so St. George and the Dragon. That's where that came from. So our brand and culture has really sort of evolved over the years. Um, but I say we're very much, our brand is very much, you can wear your jeans and a hoodie on your desk. We're very much about, it's very casual. You can come here and you can come and sit here and have your lunch and just enjoy being accompanied with other people. So our branding, we've tried to reflect that. We try to reflect that in all our social media as well. We try to always have that friendly, supportive, fun, positive vibe in everything we do.
That really
Um,
comes across.
oh, good,
No,
good.
no, it does. It
Yeah,
works. Whatever you're doing, it
yeah.
works.
I'll be pretty. Do you know what, Molly, my marketing manager, she's on some maternity leave at the moment, but she'll be so glad to hear that, because that's what she's been concentrating on, sort of like making sure that's what our brand values are, and I get across in everything we do.
Yeah, no, that vibe really comes through on
Good, good.
on a consistent basis as well. Because I
Yeah,
think so often people do a great job, then they put nothing out, and then they're not consistent with the vibe and the story. But no, you
good.
do a great job there.
Oh, thank you.
And
Good.
and then I was watching, I think you were at a conference a couple of years ago, and you were talking about your emphasis on social governance and the whole environment take. What's oh, it's a women in business event. You did a little video there maybe last year. How easy or difficult is this to achieve for more smaller operators?
I think for smaller operators, it's if you do it when you're small, it's easier than to scale it up. I've done it before. I've had to start sort of projects with larger businesses with lots of members of staff. That's more of a challenge. So if you start it when you're smaller and build it in your culture, it makes it easier. So we are working towards our B Corp, which has been a bit of that's definitely a bit of a challenge. That's definitely but I've been helped with somebody by that. So we've got one of our members, Rachel. She's a B Corp sort of specialist, so she's helping us
Oh,
with that. It reminds me, I really need to get moving on with that. Need to do some work on that one. But yeah, again, it's going to be it's part of our culture. We've moved towards getting rid of like single-use plastics. We installed our solar panels last year, which have been absolutely brilliant. All those sort of little things we've been sort of moving towards having things like the wellness and well-being of our members again in the front of our minds. Trains myself, Kim and Molly, we're all trained up as mental health first aiders, plus other people in the actual space are trained up as mental health first aiders as well.
Brilliant.
We've got reflection rooms, we have quiet areas people can go to. We have a huge library of different books around sort of self-help and things like that. So looking after our members is again one of our major sort of priorities, especially as well as the whole environmental looking at things we can do. But looking after our members' well-being it's really changed in the last couple of years, and really sort of focusing on that to actually make sure. Because a lot of these guys, they work for themselves, they're on their own, and they're busy, they're hectic. So just a little sort of, we try to check in with people, just a little like, how are you? You know, would you like a cup of coffee? Would you like to have a chat about something? Again, as operators, that's something else that we sort of, for us anyway, we really sort of pride ourselves in doing, just checking in with people and make sure everyone's all right.
And that can have a really big effect, actually.
Yeah.
That can really touch people, and just making sure that they know someone's there, because owning a business can be quite a lonely place.
Absolutely. Yeah. Running a business, especially if you're on your own, you're doing everything. You're literally,
Yeah.
you're selling your product, you're doing your service, you're doing your marketing, you're doing your HR, you're doing everything. It's a challenge.
Yeah. Fantastic. So what next for Roland and Dragon Coworking?
So, I mean, where we are, we've sort of like, we can't grow any further, unfortunately, where we are. We're sort of like reached our capacity. We expanded about 4 years ago now. We sort of doubled in size. So we're about 6,500 square foot of space at the moment. So we've got 24 offices. All our offices are quite small. So our maximum size is 6 person, which suits us. Our product mix, we've got a lot of single and 2 person offices, which seems to suit our local market really well. So we can't expand where we are. So we are looking for other sites in Medway and also around Kent as well. We bootstrap everything we do. The space we're in at the moment, we literally paid and built it ourselves. And so we're not looking for investors or anything like that. We want to do it all ourselves. And that's sort of like, it's held us back a little bit, but we're in no hurry to expand. We want to sort of, I say, completely bootstrap it ourselves. I mean, the original space, literally, I was pulling bits out of skips and making things,
Oh yeah, I've
making
been there too.
tables, and yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I used my dad's old sofas and everything to keep the costs down for the original startup.
Yeah.
So, our next spaces will probably be quite simple, similar. We'll do the same. Maybe not the skip thing this time. But
The skip garden, maybe.
that's it. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, so we are looking for second sites. So yeah, maybe in the future, we'll have another one. But do you know what I love doing? I love being part of the co-working industry, and I love running Dragon Coworking, and that's always been the main thing. It's like, do you know what? We really love just having this one site and really giving it our all, and being here and really concentrating on that. So a second site would have to be right for us. So yeah, we're in no hurry.
What a great story.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Where can people learn a bit more about you and the co-working space?
So really simple, dragoncoworking.co.uk, and then I'm on LinkedIn, Roland Stanley. I'm sure you'll find me on there. You'll see me smiling with a Dragon Coworking coffee mug in my hand. And it'd be great to create, and especially on the co-working space operators or people thinking about starting a space up. Yeah, always happy to have a conversation.
Fab. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and wish
Okay.
you all the luck for the future.
Well, thank you very much for asking me.
Don't forget that all the episodes and links are out there on our website, thehubnery.com. While you're there, you can stay tuned in with what we're up to by joining our newsletter and subscribing to Powering Productivity on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks again for being here. Powering Productivity is presented by me, Suzanne Murdoch, and produced by Emily Crosby Media.